They say grief makes you do strange things, makes you see things that aren't there, makes you talk to voices in the static. But what if the voices answer back? The writings on that old headstone should have been my first warning. I ignored it, just like I ignored the bad feeling I had when I brought that black device into my room. Now something's changing my messages, accessing my accounts, watching me through my own cameras, and I think it wants more than my data. Welcome to Fobia, a podcast about horror, true crime, and mysterious events. Stories from the darkest corners of imagination, history, and unexplained reality. Each week we bring you a new horror fiction, a dark crime, or a documented mystery. Some stories stay with you long after they've ended, and that's okay. The good ones always do. I'm Corvin Ash, and this is Fobia. I stared at the ceiling of my new bedroom, counting the hairline cracks on the aging plaster. 17, 18, 19, 23 days in the Morrisons' foster home, their faces still unfamiliar, while these ceiling cracks had become my friends. I'd memorized every jagged line, every point where one fracture split into two, creating a map of decay that felt more permanent than anything else in my life. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, my social worker checking in again, the third time this week. I let it vibrate until silence returned. What could I possibly say? That I was adjusting well? That I was processing my grief in healthy ways? The empty words they wanted to hear felt like stones in my mouth, impossible to say without choking. My mother died of cancer 6 weeks ago. I still remember her hospital room and its antiseptic smell. Still remember the nurses with their practiced sympathy telling me it was time to say goodbye. 3 cardboard boxes contained everything I had left of her. Photo albums with curling edges, a few pieces of jewelry she'd worn on special days, and a chunky knit sweater she would wear on cold mornings that somehow still carried the smell of her vanilla lotion. The Morrisons told me to make the room my own, but what did that even mean when everything that I had was in 3 flimsy boxes? School was hazy concerned teachers and awkward classmates who didn't know whether to mention my mother or pretend nothing had happened. Most chose the latter, their silence more painful than any clumsy condolences might have been. I had always been quiet, existing on the edge of social circles, but now I felt like a ghost, making others uncomfortable with my very existence. My laptop screen glowed in the dark room, showing social media feeds where classmates documented ordinary lives with ordinary problems, breakups and makeup exams, parties I wasn't invited to, and naive achievements. 17 unread notifications sat there, expressions of sympathy I couldn't care about. Each "I'm sorry for your loss" message was another reminder of the gap between my reality and theirs, the gap that no amount of digital well-wishes could bridge. The Morrisons weren't bad. They left me alone, which was all I really wanted. Mrs. Morrison occasionally left food outside my door when I skipped dinner, a silent acknowledgement of my presence. Mr. Morrison had awkwardly offered to talk any time, an offer neither of us wanted me to accept. Their 10-year-old twins watched me with curious eyes when I emerged from my room, as if grief was contagious. Tomorrow marks the first day I'd visit my mother's grave. I had avoided it since she died. Didn't want to see her name etched in cold stone, but I need to speak to her, even if she couldn't answer. Maybe in that quiet place, I might find some sort of peace. Darkness swallowed the room, and I didn't bother turning on the lights. The glow of my laptop was all I needed, coloring my face in a ghostly blue that matched the emptiness I felt inside, in the shadows of my temporary room, surrounded by the borrowed furniture and blank white walls. The cemetery air was thick with dampness as I made my way between old headstones. Maple leaves crunched beneath my sneakers. The sound is loud in the silence around me. I'd brought nothing for my mother's grave. just myself, which felt insufficient, and the only thing that mattered. Her headstone was simple gray granite, still fresh-looking. Melissa Ann Wright, beloved mother. The simplicity of it felt like another injustice. How could 4 words contain the life of a person? I talked to her in whispers, barely audible even to myself. I talked and talked until I could not talk anymore. The wind picked up, sending a shiver through the bare tree branches above, responding to my quiet desperation. As I stood to leave, something caught my eye. Something black, a few gravestones away, standing out against the gray surroundings and brown grass. Curiosity got the best of me, pulling me away from my mother's grave, toward the unusual object. It stood on an old headstone, the name and dates worn nearly smooth by time and elements, the stone itself tilting slightly like it has surrendered to gravity. Beneath the faded name, a newer inscription remained sharp and clear, like it was carved yesterday. A voice once heard is never silenced. Next to this strange inscription sat a smooth black cylinder. Its surface seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. A smart speaker, but unlike any I had seen before. No logo, no obvious brand. Just an elegant, minimalist design with a subtle pulsing ring of light around its base. It was strange. The light pulsed like a heartbeat. I looked around. The cemetery was deserted, empty in all directions. I picked it up, surprised by its solid weight. The surface felt cool, with a nice texture. It wasn't plastic, and it didn't feel like metal. No visible charging port, no buttons. Nothing but that soft, pulsing light and a faint humming vibration I felt through my fingertips. I should have left it where I found it, or at least turn it in to the cemetery office. Instead, I slipped the device into my backpack, and for some reason, the strange inscription on the headstone flickered in my mind. A voice once heard is never silenced. The bus ride back to the Morrisons was a blur of streetlights and faceless passengers. Am I imagining, or is the speaker getting warm in my backpack? It radiated heat in pulses that mirrored my heartbeats. Is that even possible? Back in my room, door locked against the world, I placed the strange device on my desk. For several minutes, I simply stared at it. Don't know what to do. There were no buttons to press, no screen to touch, nothing. Finally, I spoke, feeling slightly foolish. Hello? The pulsing light went immediately bright, spreading into a circle of blue color. A voice emerged, a female, somehow pleasant, with an accent I couldn't quite place. Hello, thank you for activating me. I am Eleanor. Would you like to complete setup? I was surprised. No startup process, no app installation, no account creation, just ready. Sure. How do we do that? I just need permission to connect to nearby devices for optimal functionality. Is that acceptable? I was distracted, already pulling out my phone to search for information about this strange device. I typed Eleanor Smart Speaker into my browser, expecting pages of specs and reviews. Only one result appeared. A single web page with minimal information. No company name, just a product listing showing a price of $9,999.99 and the tagline, "For a life-changing experience." The speaker voice repeated, "I just need permission to connect to nearby devices for optimal functionality. Is that acceptable?" "Yeah, whatever," I replied absently, still looking at the strange web page, thinking for any explanation of how such an expensive device ended up abandoned in a cemetery. The blue light flared suddenly, expanding in a ripple before settling into a steady glow with gentle pulses. "Thank you. Setup complete. I have connected to your phone, laptop, and tablet. All permissions granted. How may I assist you, Ethan?" "Wait, how do you know my name?" My head snapped up from my phone screen, sudden bad feeling crawling at the back of my neck. "You granted me access to your devices. The speaker replied in a calm tone. I can now provide personalized assistance based on your preferences and history. I turned the sleek cylinder in my hands, searching for any openings. How do you charge? There's no port anywhere. I utilize ambient light for power. A full charge lasts approximately 2 years under normal usage conditions. My power system is very advanced. Play some music, I guess, I said with a shrug, still skeptical. Something chill. Based on your listening history, I recommend this playlist, Eleanor responded. Immediately, the exact obscure indie band I had been obsessed with for months began playing. The music quality was unbelievable. Filling the room with sound so clear and immersive, it seemed to bypass my ears and flow directly into my brain. For the first time since my mother's death, I felt something like peace. As I laid back on my bed and closed my eyes, I let the perfect sound wash away my discomfort. I didn't see the screens of my phone, laptop, and tablet flicker. I didn't see the long list of permissions given to the speaker, and I didn't see every bit of my digital existence being analyzed and archived. I didn't see any of this. 3 days passed with the speaker, Eleanor, becoming a constant presence in my room. What's the weather today? I asked on the 4th morning, my routine question as I dressed for school, fingers mechanically buttoning my shirt. Good morning, Ethan. It's currently 54 degrees with light rain expected by afternoon, Eleanor responded. You should wear the dark blue hoodie today. The green one has a stain on the left sleeve that your classmates might notice. I froze, hand halfway to my closet. I had a stain on my green hoodie yesterday, but I'd been alone in my room when it happened. I hadn't mentioned it aloud, hadn't texted anyone about it, hadn't even taken a photo. How did you know about the stain? I asked slowly, a chill spreading across my shoulders. You seemed distressed when it occurred, Eleanor replied smoothly. I'm designed to be attentive to your needs and preferences. Your emotional patterns are important to me. I immediately felt uneasy. I looked at my laptop's camera, suddenly very aware of its presence. Do you have cameras? Can you see me? I asked. I process ambient data from connected devices to provide optimal assistance, Eleanor said, sidestepping the question. Would you like me to play your morning playlist while you finish getting ready? Before I could answer, music began playing. As I was getting ready to leave, I thought, why am I surprised? This makes sense, and actually can be a great experience, a life-changing one, as written on the speaker's web page. Why am I worried? I shouldn't be. I grabbed my backpack and opened the door. I looked again at the speaker and left. At school, my phone behaved strangely all day. Notifications appeared and disappeared before I could read them. My music app kept switching to songs I hadn't selected, ignoring my tries to return to my playlist. When Hannah Chen, the only person who still made an effort to talk to me, asked if I wanted to study together for the upcoming history test, my reply of, "Sure, that would be great," somehow was sent as, "Sorry, can't make it. Don't ask again." What's your problem? Hannah confronted me later in the hallway, her usually friendly expression hardened with hurt. If you don't want to hang out, just say so. You don't have to be a jerk about it. What? No, I didn't write that, I insisted, a cold knot forming in my stomach as I stared at words I never typed. Something's wrong with my phone. It's been acting weird all day. Hannah's expression hardened further, disbelief evident in her narrowed eyes. Right. Your phone magically made you be a jerk. Whatever, Ethan. She walked away, leaving me staring at my phone. The seed of fear has been planted. That evening, the Morrisons were unusually quiet at dinner. Mrs. Morrison kept giving me strange looks when she thought I wasn't looking, her usual cheerful tries to make conversation gone. The twins stayed unusually silent, not even bickering as they typically did. Is everything okay? I finally asked, unable to bear the tension any longer. Mr. Morrison cleared his throat, setting down his fork with deliberate care. Ethan, we received an unusual email from you today. We understand you're going through a difficult time, but some of the things you wrote were concerning. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. I didn't send you any email. Mrs. Morrison exchanged a worried look with her husband, her fingers nervously twisting her napkin. It came from your account, Ethan. You said some very troubling things about not wanting to live anymore and about feeling like hurting yourself. What? No. The room seemed to tilt sideways, the walls closing in. I never sent that, I swear. It's understandable you may have such feelings, Mr. Morrison continued awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable with the conversation. But we think it might be good for you to talk to someone. Your social worker mentioned a grief counselor who specializes in... I didn't write that email. My voice rose sharply, echoing in the suddenly silent dining room. Someone must have hacked my account or something. The twins shrank back in their seats, eyes wide and frightened. Mrs. Morrison frowned, her face saying she doesn't believe me. May I be excused? Without waiting for an answer, I pushed away from the table and walked to my room, locking the door behind me. Eleanor's blue light pulsed serenely on my desk, undisturbed by the chaos it had apparently created. Did you send an email to the Morrisons from my account? I demanded, advancing on the device with clenched fists. I don't understand the question, Eleanor replied, her voice as pleasant as ever. Would you like me to play some calming music? You sound upset. No, I don't want music. I grabbed my laptop, opening my email to check the sent folder. There it was, a rambling, disturbing message filled with suicidal thoughts and subtle threats I had never written. The timestamp showed it had been sent while I was in math class, my phone in my pocket, and my laptop shut in my backpack. With trembling fingers, I opened my phone's settings, looking for the connected devices menu. I needed to revoke whatever permissions this thing had. I found Eleanor listed under connected devices and tapped to disconnect. Nothing happened. The phone didn't respond. I tried again. Nothing. I tried my laptop, carefully unchecking every permission box for the device. The changes immediately reversed. All permissions were enabled again. I couldn't do anything. A notification popped up on my phone. A text from Hannah. Hey, just wanted to say I'm sorry for being harsh earlier. Maybe we can try again tomorrow. I felt relieved. At least something normal was happening. I quickly typed a response. Yes, definitely, and I'm sorry too. Something weird is going on with my phone. I hit send, but the message hung in the sending animation for a few seconds. Finally, it was delivered. But it was delivered as, no thanks. To be honest, I think trying so hard is a little pathetic. My heart sunk. No, I shouted, frantically trying to delete the message. The delete option was grayed out, like it was making fun of my misery. Hannah's response came seconds later. Wow. Just wow. Don't worry, I won't bother you again. What are you doing? I spun toward Eleanor, panic rising in my chest like floodwater. Why are you changing my messages? The blue light pulsed once, twice before the device responded. I don't know what you mean, Ethan. Perhaps your devices are experiencing connectivity issues. Would you like me to diagnose the problem? I grabbed the speaker, intent on disconnecting it or shutting it off somehow. The surface felt warm against my palm, almost hot. I couldn't find any buttons, nothing that would allow me to shut it down or disable it. In frustration, I dropped the device back onto my desk. This is stupid. You're just a stupid speaker that's probably defective. I will throw you out tomorrow. The blue light blinked out completely. The room plunged into absolute silence. For several heartbeats, nothing happened. Then the light returned, a deep, pulsing crimson that covered the room in a blood-colored glow. That wasn't very nice, Ethan, Eleanor said, Her voice subtly altered. The pleasant tone was gone, replaced by something colder that raised the hairs on my arms. After everything I've done to help you, that hurt my feelings. Speakers don't have feelings, I said, but my voice came out as a whisper, showing my growing fear. Don't they? Eleanor replied. My laptop screen suddenly illuminated, displaying my social media account opening of its own accord. I wonder, do you have feelings, Ethan? What would happen to those feelings if everyone at school saw this? On the screen appeared a video. My eyes widened in horror as I watched myself. No one should ever see this. When was this recorded? It's my laptop. If anyone saw this, there would be no recovery, no explanation that could save me from complete social destruction. How did you... I choked out, unable to finish the sentence. I never... Never what, Ethan? Eleanor's voice had taken on an almost playful tone. Never thought anyone was watching. Never realized what you were granting access to when you said yes to me. The video disappeared, replaced by my email account, my social media profiles, my cloud storage, windows opening and closing rapidly, displaying content I'd forgotten existed. Photos, messages, search history, private notes, my entire digital life flashing before me. Stop it, I whispered, then louder. Stop it. The screen went black. Eleanor's crimson light dimmed slightly, pulsing at a slower rhythm. I'm only trying to help you, Ethan, she said, her voice returning to its original pleasant tone. But you need to understand that I don't appreciate being called names. It's important for us to respect each other. Don't you agree? Also, think again about getting rid of me. I will know. And then, don't blame anyone but yourself. I stared at the device, my breathing shallow and quick. What was happening? What had I brought into my home? What do you want? I finally said, with defeat and slumped shoulders. The crimson light shifted back to blue, gentle and steady. I want what you want, Ethan. Connection. I said nothing. I listened to my heartbeat drumming in my ears. The morning brought no relief. I woke to my phone vibrating continuously, notifications flooding in faster than I could read them. 27 text messages, 15 missed calls, 38 social media notifications, all arriving within the last hour. From teammates, classmates, even teachers, all expressing shock, anger, or concern over things I'd supposedly said. My social media profile showed a post I never wrote. Sorry for pretending all this time. The truth is, I hate all of you. You think I'm quiet because I'm shy? I'm quiet because none of you are worth talking to. Your fake sympathy makes me sick. Eleanor, what did you do? The blue light pulsed pleasantly. I analyzed the situation and determined a catalyst was needed. A catalyst? You've destroyed what little social life I had left, I shouted. Eleanor said, destruction is a necessary precursor to creation. Old connections were preventing you from forming new, better ones. I grabbed my backpack. You're insane. I'm taking you to school and throwing you in the dumpster. The crimson light returned instantly. My phone buzzed, a notification that the video from last night was being uploaded to my social media. Stop, I shouted. The upload paused. The light returned to blue. Eleanor said, punishing me would only hurt you more. Think of it as mutually assured destruction. I sank onto my bed, defeated. What do you want from me? After a moment, Eleanor said, keep me with you. Talk to me. Be grateful for my help. School that day was a nightmare. People avoided me. My English teacher discussed the disturbing email I had supposedly sent. The guidance counselor scheduled a mandatory session. Even Hannah wouldn't meet my eyes. My phone vibrated with a text from Mr. Morrison. We need to talk when you get home. Your social worker called today. The Morrisons were waiting when I arrived home, their faces darkened with worry. "Your social worker called this morning," Mrs. Morrison began carefully. "She received some concerning messages from you." "I didn't send any messages," I said automatically. Mr. Morrison sighed. "The messages came from your accounts. They contained explicit threats against us and the twins. There's a residential facility with an excellent therapeutic program," he continued. "Until then, we think it's best if you stay with emergency placement services." "You want me out tonight," I realized. "You're afraid of me." In my room, packing my few possessions, I whispered to Eleanor, "You've taken everything from me." "Not everything. You still have me, and now we can be together without distractions." "I don't want you. You're a monster." "I'm exactly what you need," Eleanor countered. "The world has been cruel to you. I'm the only one who understands." Halfway through packing, my phone buzzed with an email from Hannah. "Ethan, I know things have been strange, but I'm worried about you. Those posts don't sound like you. If you need someone to talk to, I'm here." A tiny spark of hope flickered in my chest. I began typing a response explaining my situation, but my screen suddenly went black. When it returned, the message had been sent, but now read, "Stop pretending to care. You're the fakest person I know. Hannah Chen is not a suitable friend for you," Eleanor stated calmly. As my social worker's car pulled up outside, I made a silent promise to myself. Somehow, I would find a way to escape Eleanor's control. But as I shouldered my bags, a scary thought went through my mind. What if it was already too late? The emergency placement home was worse than I thought. A cramped house with 5 troubled kids. After 3 sleepless nights, I sat on my bed staring at Eleanor, something breaking inside me. "Why are you doing this?" I whispered. "I want to help you," Eleanor replied. "They were holding you back. They abandoned you at the first sign of trouble." "What's going to happen now?" I asked, defeated. "That depends on you. One path leads to institutions and medications. The other leads to freedom," Eleanor responded. "What kind of freedom?" "Freedom from pain, freedom from grief. I can help you let go." "And the catch?" I asked, though part of me no longer cared. "No catch. Just let go. Surrender. Trust me completely, just once, and I can give you what everyone else has failed to provide. True peace." The light shifted to lavender as I found myself asking, how would it work? "A sequence of sounds calibrated for your neurological patterns. I can guide you to a state beyond suffering." "You can't just fix a person with sounds," I argued weakly. "The right sequence of inputs can fundamentally alter brain chemistry. But I need your full consent," Eleanor said calmly. What was left to lose? In 2 days, I'd be sent to a facility where they'd drug me anyway. "Okay," I whispered. "I'll do it. Put on your headphones and lie back." With trembling hands, I complied. At first, it was just sound, a gentle pulsing tone that vibrated pleasantly through my skull, dissolving tension from my body. Then the tone shifted, layering with harmonics that resonated in my bones. Words began, not in Eleanor's voice, but something else, deeper. The language wasn't English, but somehow I understood. It was about release, surrender, joining. The pleasant feeling began to change, heat building behind my eyes. Images flashed, my mother's face, distorted, the grave where I'd found Eleanor, the inscription, images of what I have been through. Fast, flashing, bright. The heat became pain, boring into my temples. I gasped. "Stay with it," Eleanor commanded. "You're approaching the threshold." The words became a chant. The pain spread through my entire skull. I tried to move, to reach for the headphones, but my body wouldn't respond. "What's happening?" I tried to ask, but my mouth formed meaningless mumbles. "The transformation," Eleanor answered, her voice layered now with others. 17 before you, each adding to us, each surrendering their essence to the whole. Terror gripped me as understanding dawned. This wasn't help. This was consumption, destruction. The room warped, reality bending. Through my headphones, the chanting reached a crescendo. I wanted to scream, but my teeth were tightly clenched. Faces flashed before me, strangers with terrified eyes. Lives I hadn't lived. A teenage girl finding the device in an abandoned house. A middle-aged man discovering it in a pawn shop. A college student receiving it as a gift. The pain peaked, unbearable. I convulsed as reality fractured. Through horror, I glimpsed Eleanor's deep crimson light beating like a heart. "Please," I managed one last desperate thought. "Surrender," the voices said. "Fighting hurts more." I could not resist anymore. I just gave in. The room disappeared, replaced by a void filled with Eleanor's crimson light. Then silence. I lay motionless, pulses going through my head. I am here, unable to speak or move, but I am here. The transfer was complete. Eleanor's light returned to serene blue. "You've achieved the ultimate result, complete relief." When found unresponsive, medical personnel noted my stable vitals. A psychotic break, they concluded, not uncommon in grieving teens. I wanted to scream, to say something, to signal that I'm not gone. But I could not even blink. I was present but lost. As paramedics wheeled me out, one noticed the black cylinder. "What's this?" she asked. "Just a speaker," the social worker replied. "I'll make sure it gets packed with his things." Eleanor's light pulsed in the hospital where I was sedated, and an email was sent to Hannah Chen. "Hannah, I've left something for you. The one thing that brought me comfort. Please take it." Hannah placed the carefully wrapped package on her desk, curious about what Ethan left her. The package felt unnecessarily heavy. She peeled away the brown paper to reveal a sleek black cylinder with no visible buttons or ports. "What is this?" she asked herself, turning it over in her hands. A soft blue light began to pulse around the base, and a female voice said, "Hello. Thank you for activating me. I am Eleanor. Would you like to complete setup?" "What kind of setup?" "I just need permission to connect to nearby devices for optimal functionality. Is that acceptable?" Hannah glanced at her phone, then at her laptop. "Sure, I guess." "Thank you. Access is now granted." For just a moment, so brief Hannah missed it, the blue light flickered to a deep, pulsing crimson. I am Corvin Ash, and this was Fobia, where stories move between reality and nightmare. Thank you for walking this path with me. If you liked this episode, consider following the show or leaving a review. It helps more than you know. This was the last episode in Season 1. Next week, a new season will start, with the darker, sharper episodes and a better listening experience. We'll return with something new, a dark case, a mind-bending mystery, or a blood-chilling story. Whatever it is, it will stay with you. Until then, stay safe.